So I was curious, by the way, that the ancient Jews said the Sheol, and you don't go anywhere after your death, right?
Yeah, the idea of the afterlife is a pretty modern invention in Judaism.
Yeah.
It really only crops up, historically speaking, a little bit in the prophets, and it's usually the late prophets.
Right.
And it's really maybe as a response to early Christianity or Greek thought. So yeah, in the Bible itself, there's no reference. In the Torah, there's no reference to the afterlife.
So what
do
you think happens after the death of your body?
So I mean, I only have suspicions because, again, unverifiable. My suspicion is that if there is a God, which I believe, who exists outside of time and space, and that what animates me is that I'm made in the image of God, and that what animates my capacity is that I'm made in the image of God, that I reunify with God. That basically there's the traditional Jewish take on this has been that there's a cleansing process. Judaism doesn't believe in eternal hell. So it's instead this idea that there's a cleansing process for your soul, the part that you got from God, that spark of life that you got from God. You've schmutzed it up while you're alive, and now there's a cleansing process, and that's what hell is, sort of. And then you are reunited with God, and you have greater understanding. The idea of me being a distinct personage outside of my body, I think, is a difficult one. That's my own personal belief.
So you don't think you're physically resurrected into heaven with God?
No, yeah, I think that
something like a soul or energy or consciousnus or something like that. Yeah.
Yes, a form, like an Aquinas form, right? But yes, I think that those are actually two different things in Judaism as well. Like the idea of Tichiyat HaMetim, which is the idea of resurrection of the dead, that's a different idea than what happens after you die, right? Tichiyat HaMetim is the idea that eventually the Messiah comes, that we'll all be resurrected back in our physical bodies at a certain point, which, honestly, given the nature of how science is moving and the possibilities of cloning, is actually less crazy than it sounded probably a couple of thousand years ago.
Yeah, I debunk most of the modern, the singularity's coming, we're going to upload everybody into the cloud, and this is not going to happen. No, definitely not.
That's good to know, because I just feel like the computer would be really weird. It's weird to live inside a computer. But
or that we're living in a computer now, but there's no buffering or little pixels that are going off.
Every so often when I'm just staring off into space, it's because
But while I got you here, I want to push you on something. My Christian friends and people that I debate, particularly on the resurrection, they have a whole series of arguments. If you just followed our reason, you would accept Jesus as your Savior. And my answer to this is the great Jewish rabbis who are smarter than you and I sitting here, they've gone through all these arguments. Why don't they accept Jesus? Why don't you accept Jesus as the Messiah?
Okay, so the reason that I don't accept Jesus as the Messiah is because I think that a lot of the arguments so Jesus as the Messiah is a different figure than anything that exists inside Judaism. So when people say that Judaism predicts the coming of Christ, the change in the nature of what Christ is, what a Messiah would be, is different from Judaism to Christianity. So Judaism never posited that there would be God come to earth in physical form, and then acting out in the world in that way. Judaism posits that God is beyond space and time. Occasionally he intervenes in history, but he doesn't take physical form. It's one of the key beliefs of Judaism, actually, is an incorporeal God. So that means that the idea is actually foreign to Judaism of a merged God-man who is God in physical form, but then dies and is resurrected and all this. It's just a different idea than exists in Judaism.
So you're not waiting for the Messiah to come, right? He's not coming
I'm waiting for the Messiah to come in the form of a political figure, right? So the Messiah in Judaism is a guy who's going to come back and is going to establish peace in Israel and is going to assure that there's sort of a happier world with a bunch of political aspects to it, as explained by Maimonides. But he's going to die too, right? He's not going to come back and everybody lives forever and any of that kind of stuff.
He's a corporeal agent. He's just like us.
Right. And in the Jewish view, any person could be the Messiah. Any Jew can be the Messiah in the Jewish view. Right. So I could be it. Who knows? But it's not. I'm not. But
you're off to a good start.
But that's a different view than the Christian view. So the argument typically made to Jews by Christians on this is that Jews it's forecast by the Bible. And for Jews, we have a whole different read when you read the Hebrew about why this may or may not be true.
But Christians claim the Old Testament predicts it's going to come, so you disagree.
Well, I disagree because I think a lot of the verses that are cited are actually misreads of the Hebrew. So actually, I read Hebrew, so I think again, that's not to disclaim even in the Jewish view, the impact of Christianity on world history, right?
Yeah, that's a different question. We're just talking about the ontological question. Right. Is there a God out there? And is there a Jesus, a Messiah, in physical form?
Right, so I have actual beliefs that run counter to the idea of God taking physical form as a human being, because I think that leads to a lot of weird side effects.
It sure does. Yeah, like to my Christian friends, well, you're resurrected in heaven. Well, how old am I? I mean, physically resurrected. Yeah, 30. You know, some of them say you're 30 because that was it's a good. Jesus was 30 when and so. But I'm 63 now. So what happens to all the memories I have of the last 33 years? Do they go into the brain?
Yeah, no, these are definitely puzzling questions, which is why I don't believe in that version of a heaven. But